It's Monday night, and you know what that means. The Jersey First Television Network proudly brings to you the latest edition of Real Talk. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am the generational talent in Garden State Media and the hero you need right now, folks, because as the establishment legacy media here in New Jersey, folks, continues to disappoint you and lie to you every single day, guess who won't? That's right, the leader in independent media, opinion journalism, and really the king of podcasting here in the Garden State. That's right. It's me, Fernando Uribe. Happy Monday. Happy November to all of you. Hope you had a wonderful Halloween weekend. I know I did with my crew down at the Zeppelin Beer Garden in downtown Jersey City. If you follow me on social media, you'll know why my costume was so significant. So, in any event, I want to thank you all for tuning in from wherever and however you may be doing so right now on Facebook Live, of course, on all your social media platforms. Again, I want to thank you for making this a part of your Monday night viewing and for tuning in from wherever and however you may be doing so. As I said before, make sure you like us on Facebook. Of course, follow us on Instagram and X. Don't forget to click the subscribe button on YouTube. You can check out all the great content we bring you here at Jersey First TV on our YouTube channel, of course, wherever you get your podcast, whether it's Spotify or SoundCloud. Download Jersey First, and you can take our content with you anywhere at any time. Even though, folks, we lost an hour, right? Obviously last night with daylight savings time, certainly. But guess what? Got a little darker. Maybe you're walking your dog a little sooner. Maybe you're going for errands and food shopping. Whatever it is you're doing, folks, I'm pretty sure you have your smartphone with you. Check out Jersey First TV on it. Trust me, you'll never be disappointed. And of course, front and center here, I'm leading the way for the Jersey First Television Network here, always educating and advocating for the great residents here in the state of New Jersey. Folks, brand new episodes of Real Talk premiere every Monday night live here. Check your local listings for start times on all of your social media platforms. Folks, you want to stick around because I do want to thank everybody, obviously, for yet another successful month here in 2025. And wouldn't you know it, folks, over 110,000 views for Real Talk, all organic, folks. You know me, I'm not vaccinated. I don't believe in boosting anything. Folks, all organic traffic here on Facebook, on X, on Instagram, on YouTube, on LinkedIn. Folks, listen, without all of you, my loyal viewing audience, these numbers would not be possible. And while you have your little Mickey Mouse journalists, your little Mickey Mouse shows, and your little Mickey Mouse journalism, folks, it's real traffic here because it's Real Talk. More on that later during the broadcast. And folks, you want to stick around for final thoughts as election day is tomorrow, and we're winding down this election season. There's never a shortage of insufferable idiots in New Jersey, sort of the political echo chamber. As you can see behind me, take your pick, folks. There's no shortage of them there. And we'll talk about some specifically a little bit later in the program. But of course, when it comes to stupidity during any election cycle, you can always rely on Jay Lasser making a usual ass of himself. More on him later, or her, later on the program. And of course, we'll talk about also the nonsense, the latest nonsense from the New Jersey Alliance for Immigrant Justice. Of course, virtue signaling for the very ratchet U.S. Representative Monica MacGyver, who certainly did us no favors on the national stage, acting downright ratchet in front of an ICE facility earlier this summer. I'll tell you why. Again, she's not a good example here in New Jersey, and I'll delve into that later on during Final Thoughts. You definitely don't want to miss on that. And of course, folks, Election day is tomorrow. We will be electing a new governor. We'll be electing assemblymen and assemblywomen. And of course, in a lot of municipal races throughout New Jersey, there's a lot of highly contested ones. But here nearby in Jersey City, we have two Democratic socialists who continue to embarrass themselves with their infantile behavior. And I will talk about these two specific children behind me there, Jake Efros and Joe Brooks, later on during Final Thoughts. You definitely don't want to miss out on that. Folks, again, it is election season. We've been talking about candidates, platforms, campaigns, all throughout. It all culminates tomorrow, folks. At 8 o'clock Eastern time, we'll get results, or at some point tomorrow night. But the polls do close tomorrow. They open at 6 a.m., folks, all throughout New Jersey, and they close at 8 p.m. And we'll see who the next governor is. We'll see who our next representatives are in the state assembly. And, of course, a lot of important municipal races, mayors, city council, town commissioners, that and much more tomorrow will all get decided on election night. So I want to talk to someone who's in the know when it comes to politics in New Jersey, and a very successful mayor in his own right, folks. He is the distinguished mayor of the township of Bridgewater down in Somerset County. And he's my good friend and a big fan of the show. Let's welcome back, folks, the Honorable Matthew Moench back to Real Talk. Mayor, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you.
Good to see you there. And folks, again, if you haven't checked out all the great resources and everything that's going on in the township of Bridgewater, I don't know what you're waiting for. It's a great town in Somerset County. You can visit bridgewaternj.gov for all the resources, for all the quality of life, the local economy, the importance of public safety, some historical facts there as well, all on the town website. But Mayor, good to see you here.
You too.
Are you exhausted as much as I am here as election night approaches tomorrow?
Absolutely. I think everyone's ready for the election cycle to be over and to see what the future for our state brings come Wednesday morning or Thursday morning, whenever we know the results.
Certainly. And we'll get to that in a little bit, but let's focus on your great township of Bridgewater. I had the privilege of being there a couple months ago, being an MC for the Alzheimer's Walk for Alzheimer's New Jersey. And again, folks, check out, they're a great organization that I love to volunteer for. You can check them out at alznj.org. But I had a chance, I normally don't see you unless it's at the League of Municipalities, but I had a chance to see you down in Bridgewater for the Alzheimer's Walk, and a great success that day. Yes. But as I'm driving in through Bridgewater, Mayor, I mean, again, it never ceases to amaze me. Where I live in Hudson County, in my city, specifically Union City, everyone talks about Brian Stack, whether it's getting the vote out, constituent services, quality of life, public safety. I mean, he's as good as it gets. But I got to tell you, down in Somerset County, man, you are accumulating quite a resume and a legacy there as an outstanding mayor in your own right. Is that fair to say?
I hope so. We try very hard. We have a good team of people around us, our elected officials, our council members. We all work very hard to try to deliver results for our residents. So we're glad.
Now, let's dive into that a little bit. Obviously, you're not up for re-election until 2027. Right. And now, again, just as a reminder, is that a normal municipal race in May or June, or is it November that year?
It's a November election, so it's a 4-year term.
Okay, fair enough. So, I mean, you still wait. 2 years is an eternity in New Jersey. But let's focus right now on what you've accomplished in Bridgewater. And I think that obviously a big topic that has really resonated during this election cycle has been about affordability and property taxes. Take us through what the process is in Bridgewater, and what can you hang your hat on about keeping Bridgewater affordable for residents?
Yeah, I think it comes down to, as a starting point, smart spending. It's making sure that when you see so much waste in government, everybody thinks government can solve every problem, and they usually don't do it too efficiently. So we focus on a lot is making sure that the dollars that we spend, we understand that it's everyone's hardworking dollars. And, this year we had the original folks came back and said to us, oh, you have to raise taxes by 8%. I said, no way we're doing that. And we buckled down and we went through every line item in the budget to look through for every area of savings, every area of revenue. It's not property taxes, to deliver a manageable financial product to our residents. And I think it takes work. At the end of the day, no matter what municipality you're in, it takes rolling up your sleeves, delving into the information, and doing the work. And that's what we do.
Now, folks, again, if you're just joining us live right now, click that like button, of course, comment, and also share tonight's episode as the distinguished mayor of Bridgewater, New Jersey, the Honorable Matthew Moench, joins us live here on Real Talk. Folks, drop a comment or a question there in the comment section. We appreciate that. It certainly helps get the show out to more people here via the Jersey First Television Network. Now, Mayor, obviously you're working with a council, and Bridgewater and that part of Somerset County, again, I hate to make it so tribal with red and blue, but tends to be sort of a more Republican-leaning area from what I understand.
Yes. And
certainly on the council, I think it always helps to have council people that you can work with as opposed to be button heads with every budget season. So take us through at least this past budget cycle in Bridgewater. What can you say about saving money when it comes to residents? Has there been a necessity to raise some property taxes or raise some taxes because maybe revenues are lacking? What can you tell us about what goes on in the township of Bridgewater?
Yeah, so we have, like a lot of municipalities, we have other sources of revenue other than just property taxes. So we still struggle with, like a lot of towns, with decreased revenue from like our Bridgewater Commons Mall. The better they do, better for us. But at the same time, if they're not doing as well, then we see revenue dip. So we've been able to make sure that we keep our taxes under the 2% increase, if we have to increase it at all, to make sure that folks have some sort of, they can rely upon there not to be big jumps in their taxes. We look to make sure also that we can find other ways of generating revenue. And we work with our council for that. We have a great council team that goes through the budget and looks at every item. One of the big challenges we're facing, like everybody else, is energy prices. People talk about it from the standpoint of your residences. Everybody knows, we see your electric bill come in, you say, oh my gosh. Well, that happens for government too, because we pay the same bill. So that's another big challenge that we're facing towards the end of the year this year, is the electric prices are so high. How do we manage that, and how do we do it into next year?
It's interesting about energy prices. Certainly one of the biggest talking points during this election cycle, not just during the governor's race, right, but also for assembly races. As folks, for everybody at home, obviously all 80 state assembly seats are up for grabs. And we'll jump back to Bridgewater in a minute, but I really want to pick your brain, Mayor, about tomorrow night. Mm-hmm. Obviously, vote by mails went out in September. We've had, I think, a record number of early voting in New Jersey. And again, we've only had it this is only the second cycle now, right. But I mean, an enormous amount of early voting all throughout New Jersey. There's a lot of enthusiasm for both candidates, right? For Rebecca Sherrill, for Jack Ciattarelli. Certainly, I think the vote blue, no matter who crowd has been very energized, and the vote red until I'm dead crowd feels the same. And when we think about, and I'll pick your brain about the governor's race in a moment, but certainly just as important is all 80 state assembly seats. And obviously, Democrats have a sizable advantage in the legislature, specifically in the assembly. It's a 52 to 20 advantage right now in the state assembly. Listen, up here by me in Hudson County, it's as blue as Windex. So I don't think any Republicans have really any chance to win seats. Maybe some in Bergen County, but I think in Central and South Jersey, Republicans have a chance to win as many as 8 or 9 assembly seats to maybe bridge into that gap a little bit, where it's not 52-28, but maybe it's like, Republicans will have 35, maybe 36 assemblymen or assemblywomen, and that certainly makes negotiating in Trenton, I think, a little more malleable for Republicans.
Yeah, that's absolutely critical. If Jack is able to get over the finish line, having a more assembly seats to work with is absolutely important to a new governor being able to come in and get that agenda. And by the way, if Mikey Sherrill wins, then from a Republican Party standpoint, having as much weight as possible to push back against the agenda is also critical. And I think what you've seen in some areas in South Jersey, certainly you've seen a trend Republican. And I think hopefully that will pick up at least some seats to chip away at this deficit that we just can't seem to get over. To get back to, was it early 2000s, there was a Republican legislature. It seems like a lifetime ago, but it wasn't really that long ago.
No, it really wasn't. And I think what's alarming is that in the 25 years since then, Democrats have had a solid stranglehold on the budget, on taxation, on spending. And listen, we've had some Republican governors come and go, sure. And we can sort of debate who's been good, who's been bad. But the bottom line is that I think during this election cycle, the messages couldn't be more different, right, Mayor? I mean, obviously, Jack Ciattarelli running for a third time has been emphasizing that New Jersey is indeed unaffordable. It might become even more unaffordable because guess what? Across the river, we have a radical, jihadist socialist that's going to get most likely elected to become the mayor of the greatest city in the world. And you might see an influx of New Yorkers going into New Jersey, which will make us even more overcrowded, which will even absorb more of our resources, make us more congested, obviously. And that's also going to put a burden on us when it comes to our energy, when it comes to our property, the amount of property, the problem with development. I mean, obviously, your town is no stranger to that, as well as all the other 21 counties. But what's interesting, I think, is on the other side, Rebecca Sherrill has been running on, again, trying to tackle affordability. The problem is that the elephant in the room is her party's been in power in the legislature, as you said, for over 20 years. I mean, as a matter of fact, almost 25 years. Right. So it's like, I get it. You don't want to throw the governor under the bus. You don't want to throw Nick Scutari and Craig Coughlin under the bus. But at some point, you have to sort of say, yeah, my party's been bad at this too. She seems to be incapable of that. How do you see this race coming down to the wire tomorrow?
I think it's exactly that. It's going to come down to the wire. And you've seen, everyone's talked about it. I think there is way more enthusiasm for Jack Ciattarelli. But the Democrats start with 900,000 or 800,000 more Democratic votes. And what you've seen, you've obviously seen some of the YouTube or Facebook videos, and Jack goes around the state and he's connecting with people everywhere. He's in Newark, he's in Bridgewater, he's in Bergen County, he's down in South Jersey. And you don't see that kind of engagement from Mikey Sherrill. It's almost, to me, it's almost like the Biden election, where they found somebody who was relatively unobjectionable in the sense of, she's, it's like, sounds good on paper, but like kind of like Biden was against anti-Trump. It was like, how can we find the least objectionable person and just go out there and say, don't say anything, so that way you can't say something wrong. And, I think that you put them side to side, you saw them in the debates. I mean, Jack runs circles around her.
Yeah.
Can we overcome the hurdle of the voter advantage?
Listen, I was there at Rider University during the first debate. And again, shout out to David Wildstein and the great crew at the New Jersey Globe and Rider University, along with Micah Rasmussen there with the Rebevic Institute of American Politics there at Rider University. And again, a great job. And you saw the difference there. Obviously, you saw how lively it was. I mean, again, to sort of, and I've used this comparison before, Mayor. I mean, as a devoted pro wrestling fan, there was an energy in that building. It almost looked like the old ECW arena. I mean, there was a fire in that building. There was a buzz. It was noisy. It was rowdy. And I think during the second debate, it was so mundane in New Brunswick at the Performing Arts Center, where it was like there was no audience. You had two atrocious moderators. Again, nothing against Bill Riddle, who I like to watch on ABC 7 at night. This guy's got no business moderating a debate. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? But nevertheless, you're right. I think Jack ate her lunch not once, but twice. And certainly she didn't want a third debate. And I know that David Wildstein and the New Jersey Globe had really went after Elek because, listen, Elek hasn't been following the rules for God knows how long. We haven't really had, at least at the minimum, an hour debate. And, he was right to call them out on it. And I think a third debate would have been interesting. Obviously, vote by mail already had started. Early voting had started. So not sure what minds it would have changed, but I think it would have been interesting to see Sherrill out there again, where she's been very safe. You look at her media appearances, very sort of a safe, MSNBC, The Breakfast Club, a lot of left-leaning media. I reached out to her office multiple times. And Mayor, you listen, I'm a fair guy. Yes, I'm conservative. Yes, I'm a little bit of a bomb thrower, but I'm fair, man. And I can interview anybody and make it a solid interview. And I was just disappointed. I'm like, listen, you got to reach out to everybody. I get your point. Yes, Democrats have that advantage where it's gone down a little bit registration-wise, but it's still 800,000 more registered voters in their camp. I get it. You got to reach out to everybody. And I think that was, again, if we're calling balls and strikes here and sort of dissecting the campaigns, I think that was a missed opportunity for Sherrill's campaign to reach out to independents, even to conservatively leaning people that are concerned about the state. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely, it's fair to say. And it also goes to show what kind of governor you're going to be if you win. Because if you're not even speaking to the entire state, or listen, maybe you're right off of your Sherrill's campaign, you're right off the diehard Republicans in certain areas. I get it. You have to allocate time and resources, but you're not speaking to everybody. Then how are you going to govern everybody? And I always give credit to the candidates who go into the areas where they're not traditionally, it's not their base of support. And you see what Jack's doing. He doesn't need to win in Newark. He's not going to win in Newark, right? He doesn't need to win in some of the areas. But if he chips away at those areas just enough. And I remember one day back in early September, there was posts by Mikey Sherrill that she was in a meeting with people in Trenton while Jack was meeting with people in Newark. And you sit there and say, Mikey Sherrill shouldn't have to be meeting with people in Trenton because that's supposed to be her base that's locked up. She should be meeting with people in Warren County and in Sussex County and in some of the areas where she wants to make sure she's going to make inroads. And Jack's doing what he's supposed to do. Go out and talk to everybody. Go into where he needs to find those votes, those 800,000 votes. And I think that we're going to find out that he does it. Again, it may not be tomorrow night. It might be Wednesday morning. It might be Thursday morning. But I think he's going to do it. I think he's going to cross the finish line.
I'm with you on that. I think it's a close race. I think it's 2 points, no bigger than that. I think it's that sort of a razor thin margin. And you hit it on the head. I mean, obviously Sherrill has been playing it safe and certainly, going to very safe areas, campaigning in Montclair, for God's sakes. I mean, Jesus. I mean, you can't have a softer landing pad than all the Karens and cat ladies in Montclair, or going to Newark, obviously with, a half empty gym at a community college in Newark, where Barack Obama thinks that it's 2010, where somehow, and we all know how it worked out for John Corzine coming to New Jersey, right?
Mm-hmm.
And somehow thinking that Barack Obama's blessings, or saying, oh, well, I'm anointing this person. That didn't work out too well last year for Kamala Harris. And I think that this year it's a very flat race, I think, on her part. I mean, you're right. I mean, I think it's important about going to Ocean County, Monmouth County, parts of Bergen, parts of Morrison, Warren, Atlantic, Gloucester. But, just going to the safe landing pads, again, maybe there's that presumption of arrogance from the campaign operatives. Like, well, we still have that advantage, the registration advantage, right? Vote by mail tends to sort of lean Democrat. But at the same time, early voting, from what I've seen, has been very, very high for Republicans. I think almost at levels at last year. I think one of the reasons that President Trump came within 5 points of beating Kamala Harris in New Jersey was because of that early vote turnout, like the energy. I would have liked to see the president in New Jersey for a rally, whether it's at Prudential Center or MetLife Stadium. That obviously didn't happen. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. We'll find out. Hopefully, if there's an autopsy to be done for either camp, we'll find out if that made a difference. On the Ciattarelli side, though, Mayor, I would say that, listen, to use a sports analogy, he has not left any points on the field. I mean, he has gone up and down New Jersey. He's been to Newark. He's been to Kearney. He's been to Cranford. He's been to Camden. He's been to Cape. I mean, you name it. I don't think there's a town he has not come to. Having said that, is there something you think the Ciattarelli camp could have done better during this race?
I don't know if it's doing better. I think that the challenging thing, and again, we'll never know until at least we will know for a couple of days, which is how to navigate the president and how the president plays in this race. And I just think that's something that I don't know that he's done anything wrong or could have anything different. I think it's just something that it's a challenge. Obviously, the president is very supportive. That matters to a lot of us, that he has the president's support. But as close as the president came last year, I would say close, 5 points is not close, but obviously way overperformed expectations. Is that going to translate this year? Are those same voters going to come out and cast their vote for Jack, or are they going to stay home, or even worse yet, vote how they traditionally vote? And we'll just won't know. But that's, I think, the hardest part of the Ciattarelli messaging is, and that's obviously the biggest attack on him. They just attack Trump and then tie him to Trump and hope that carries the day with the voter advantage.
And I think the Democrats are banking on the fact that 4 years ago, over 500,000 Republicans stayed home. And you know what? That's what got us another term of Phil Murphy. And speaking about staying home, I have to say, I've been disappointed. And this is a guy who I've had dinner with, who I've talked to regularly, who now won't even return my text. But I've been disappointed in Bill Speedia, Mayor. This is a guy who, I'll give him credit. He ran a hard campaign, but it wasn't even close. Like, if you lost, a razor close primary to Jack Ciattarelli, I get it. You might be a little sore. That wasn't even the case with Bill Speedia. I mean, he got trounced in all 21 counties. And you would think with a guy with the platform that he has would have come out and said, you know what, I'll bite the bullet. I took the L, but you know what? We need a Republican as a governor. I'll bite my tongue, go for Jack Ciattarelli. The fact that Bill couldn't do that, I'm sorry. I think he's lost a lot of political capital and credibility as far as I'm concerned. Or am I wrong?
So I get that feeling a little bit. And I think with Bill, I think that the flip side to that is, he's always been somebody who basically says, I'm going to say my piece. And given, his radio show and his platform is a little bit different, I think, than, let's say, yours or some other folks, where he's not necessarily, he's not partisan per se. And listen, he was critical of the Christie administration. He was critical of in the past. And so I don't know. I think it's part of his brand to say what he thinks. And I think if he just towed the Republican line as a, quote, good party member, I think he'd also lose credibility for what he does. So it's a tough spot. I get the criticism. Sure. I'm a little bit softer on it. I think the biggest thing is going to be if Speedia wanted to run, if Bill wanted to run again in the future for something, obviously people will judge how he acted or whether they think it was appropriate or not after the primary. No,
man, you said it perfectly. You raised great points. And folks, if you're just joining us live right now at 6:25 here on the East Coast, my guest tonight is the distinguished mayor of Bridgewater, New Jersey, the Honorable Matthew Moench, joining us live here on Real Talk. Folks, like, comment, and share. It really helps get the show out to more people and, of course, help you support the leader in independent media right here, via Jersey First TV. Mayor, I think you said it perfectly. I think it does, put him between a rock and a hard place. I would argue, I think it would have been good if he maybe stayed off the air until after the election. But again, it's woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Right.
But you raise great points. It does put him in a tough spot where if he just goes along, is he really keeping his independence that he was having on the air? And I think a lot of his supporters, I think, were hoping maybe he turned the corner. That hasn't been the case. We'll find out if some Spadia voters really will stay home. Again, 4 years ago, Republicans were very fickle during that primary, and Jack won that decisively. And you had hundreds of thousands of Republicans staying home, just being fickle.
Yeah.
And I'm concerned that the same thing could happen tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see Republican voters stay home tomorrow, because even if you think that there's like let's say, talk about Bill, there's a diehard, let's say, Spadia group out there. With the president's endorsement of Jack, I think that there's almost no folks that are going to say, well, if the president supports Jack, but Bill doesn't, I'm staying home with Bill. I think the president covers those diehard Republican voters that maybe weren't there 4 years ago because Jack's messaging wasn't as clear 4 years ago. And I think the president had more negatives 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I think now those voters come out. It just comes down to those independent voters. And where are they going to be? What's their enthusiasm level? Do they stay home or do they come out? And I think if they come out, I think they're coming out for Jack. But anybody's guess.
No, listen, I'm with you. I can't imagine any independent voter that's looking at their energy prices, energy bills, looking at their property taxes, looking at what spending went on this year in Trenton. The fact that, we're spending $7 billion a year to coddle illegals here. The fact that, with us drilling domestically, thankfully again, a barrel of oil is now down to $59 per barrel. And guess what? You know what? If it wasn't for the gas tax, Mayor, our gas would be close to $2, not still in the high twos. And again, in fairness, the gas tax started under Christie, and supposedly it was to fund the transportation trust fund. But I don't know about you, the roads are still pretty shitty. And I'm not sure if you looked at the rankings by AAA lately, Mayor. New Jersey's still in the bottom third when it comes to road quality in the country. So it's like, wait a minute. So this is supposed to go into a fund where we're supposed to trust transportation? Like what the F, man? Like, it just drives me crazy where people think that the usual fiscal mismanagement in Trenton, that some people, especially those, the vote blue no matter who crowd, thinks that people are going to overlook that. I think you're right. I think independents are going to come out strong for Jack, if for nothing else. Like, hey, we need to maybe reverse course here. We can't continue with another 4 years of these policies. I mean, it's going to cost massive migration out of New Jersey.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's always fun to kind of prognosticate what we think is going to happen, and we'll know in a couple of days. But the policies are not, the proof's in the pudding now. After 8 years under Democratic administration, Democratic legislature, it's hard how does Cheryl get away from where we are? She can't blame anybody else but the party leaders who were in charge for the past 8 years, as we talked earlier, from a legislative standpoint, for the past 20, 25 years.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that we are going to see a change coming out of this election. And I think either way, I think you're right. It's going to be close. I think every vote's going to matter. And either campaign is going to have an opportunity to kind of do that post-mortem that says, for the losing campaign, the different things that could have, would have, should have.
No, absolutely. And what's interesting, though, Mayor, about New Jersey is that there's never a rest. Maybe, we'll go to the League of Municipalities. I'll run into you again. We'll have a cocktail there, sure. But every year is an election year in New Jersey. Listen, we can rest for a couple of weeks, but 2026, there's a U.S. Senate seat up for grabs. Obviously, House seats are up for grabs in New Jersey. And, in a perfect world, if any state needs redistricting, my God, it's New Jersey. I mean, 40% of, registered voters are Republicans in New Jersey. And meanwhile, the 12 congressional districts, only 3 are Republican. It drives me crazy. So it takes us into 2026. And obviously, we know Spartacus is going to virtue signal again. We don't know if you'll have a primary candidate in the Democrat Party, but I keep hearing your name as someone with a lot of political capital to maybe challenge U.S. Senator Cory Booker. Anything you want to clarify for me tonight, sir?
Nothing to clarify tonight. Listen, I'm always I'm proud of being mayor. I'm proud of our accomplishments, and I think we'll see what the future holds. I think right now the focus needs to be on this year's election, and that's going to say a lot about where we are as a state. If Mikey Sherrill does win, what do those numbers look like, and what is that forecast for the future of the Republican Party in New Jersey, and how do we then address that? And of course, if Jack wins, it changes the game with regard to what is competitive in 2026. And with a Republican governor backing our congressional seats, you may have one or two that could be competitive.
Yeah.
The right candidate for U.S. Senate with the backing of a Republican governor, it changes the playing field.
No, it certainly does. And what's interesting is that when we think about the election cycle, listen, without a doubt, I mean, people are going to be invested next year. And, when NJ.com puts out these garbage polls about the president's popularity, I mean, again, we all know who NJ.com is owned by. Okay. I mean, it's no surprise whatsoever. But I think it really leads to a testament that New Jersey, I think, is very much a purple state. We're going to find out tomorrow. And if Jack can get across the finish line, and we have a Republican governor going into 2026 where it's the midterms, I think the president, based on policies, whether it's, securing the border, whether it's removing criminal illegals, whether it's energy on a national level, again, a barrel of oil, folks, is $59. We're seeing gas prices at around $2. Maybe not New Jersey, it's like still mid-twos, but nationally, we're seeing gas at around $2. We are seeing, Republicans take a stand in Washington, not because they don't care about people. It's just they're tired of seeing Democrats hijacking the budget process and looking to give, healthcare and other subsidies to illegals. That has to stop. Having said that, a Republican governor could go a long way in obviously maybe changing the course and maybe making it a little bit difficult for Spartacus not to sort of cruise to re-election. I mean, again, there hasn't been a Republican in the United States Senate, been elected to the U.S. Senate. I mean, long before you and I were born. We're talking about like the start of Richard Nixon's second term. That's a long time, Mayor.
Yeah. And what I think you're seeing is that Trump 2.0, this second term, it's not the first term. The public understands the difference between Trump's policies, what we saw from Biden, and what's going on now. And I think that the president's going to be able to positively influence a 2026 election. And to your point, there's a lot more Trump support out there than the polls are ever going to say, than you're ever going to pick up, because there's still people that kind of whisper and they go, hey, I'm Trump, me too. And they don't say anything because they don't want to get beaten up on social media or they're worried about those consequences. And the proof of that is in the election results last year, when you saw areas of Patterson go for Trump, when you saw areas in these deep blue, supposedly rock solid Democratic cities or counties that went for Trump. Those are people who aren't advertising it. They don't have a sign on their yard. But when they go into the privacy of that voting booth, they're voting for the president and his policies. And I don't think anything that he's done over the past year is going to have those voters say, oh, we made a mistake. I think he's doing exactly what people voted for him to do. And I think he's going to continue to keep that support and gain it. The problem is, if he's not on the ballot, does it translate down? Can he get those voters to go out and vote for his U.S. Senate candidate, his congressional candidates?
Yeah.
We'll see.
No, absolutely. Again, the president's endorsement of Jack Ciarelli, I think, carries a lot of water. As I said, it would have been nice to see the president here. If you went to the Prudential Center early during the summer during the UFC fight, I mean, the building erupted for the president's arrival there. So
yeah, I was there. I saw it was great.
He's clearly popular in New Jersey. Again, regardless of what NJ.com and a lot of establishment media will tell you, folks, I mean, the president is popular in many pockets, especially among many different demographics, Hispanics and Blacks and college-educated women, single parents, things of that nature. Let's get back to Bridgewater real quick, Mayor. Sure. Certainly, you're not up until 2027. Obviously, it's still 2 years away. But as we, again, election day will come and go tomorrow. People will maybe, decompress a little bit. The League of Municipalities is coming. People will burn off some steam. Hopefully, you and I get to celebrate something at the League. But regardless, as soon as the clock strikes midnight on January 1st in 2026, obviously, you have to continue to govern in Bridgewater. What would you like to continue focusing in on? Obviously, you talked about affordability, public safety. What would you like to tackle again as the new year comes around? And again, as you approach re-election, what is some unfinished business in Bridgewater?
Yeah. So first thing, just jumping back for a second to this year's election, is I got 3 council seats up this year. So my first priority, when we talk about all politics is local, as far as I'm concerned, the most important race in the entire state is my council race, because, as mayor, that's what I care about the absolute most. But so
tell us about those council members for
yeah. So we have 3 council seats open this year. So we have an incumbent who's running. This is his 21st year, Alan Cardilla, who's phenomenal. Philippe Pedroso, who's been on the council now for 12 years, who's been a great supporter of mine. And he's running again. And we have an open seat, and actually my sister's running for it, which is going to be the hardest vote for me to get when she gets on the council, because she's not impressed with the fact that I'm the mayor and she doesn't fear me. So I have to actually earn that vote. But we should be, our team should be okay. But that's first and foremost, making sure we have our team in place to be able to do all the things that we've been able to accomplish in the past 6 years. And then once that clock turns and we hit 2026, it's development and making sure that we fight against the overdevelopment, and it's supporting our police and public safety are our two most important issues, because everything else doesn't matter if you're not safe in your community, you don't have great policing, and if you're getting overdeveloped out of what makes your town great, you're going to not be able to enjoy the quality of life that we like. So those are really the important, most important issues for us. And then supporting we have Tom Kean as our congressman. So going out politically and supporting him next year and making sure that Bridgewater delivers for a congressman has been very good to us.
Mayor, perennial social media platforms like Facebook and YouTube turned 20 this year. Obviously, they debuted in 2005, and to think, 20 years later, my goodness, how Facebook and YouTube has changed. Certainly helped introduce other platforms, from Twitter to Instagram to Snapchat to TikTok. But the bottom line is governing has changed because of social media. Obviously, everything is under the microscope, and we literally can walk around with a camera in our hands at all times, right? I mean, for those of us with iPhones, for those of us with flip phones, Android users, that's just the Apple snob in me. Obviously, we're going to be walking around and we can take content at any time. You're a human being. I'm sure it's difficult to not look at some negative commentary, but I'm sure you've come across it. What do you want to say to those that maybe continue to sort of take jabs at you on social media that are not happy with your governance in Bridgewater? What do you think have been some unfair criticisms of you in your time as mayor in Bridgewater, sir?
Some of it is stuff that is just stupid. So the first year I was mayor, we had never had a Hanukkah celebration. We had a holiday. We actually didn't do anything for Christmas or Hanukkah. And so when we did it, we had a Christmas tree lighting, and I wanted to make sure that we didn't just do a Hanukkah event as like an afterthought where we just kind of, turn on menorah, but it's not really there. So we did our own separate menorah lighting every year. And the first year I got criticized on social media because people were saying that I picked out an ugly menorah because I don't support the Jewish residents, and that I only cared about Christmas, and therefore, was giving Hanukkah as an afterthought, despite the fact that we had never had any event before, and we were doing this specifically to make sure we were doing. That's the kind of stuff that drives me insane. You want to disagree with me on policy? I don't support. We didn't support legalized marijuana in Bridgewater. We can debate that all day long. I don't mind if people debate the stuff, but it's that other kind of garbage that we got pinged recently. We were one of the best places to live on some rating, and then people jump on there and go, well, this is a MAGA town, they're all racists, and it's like,
well, listen, there's no shortage of knuckleheads and idiots on social media for sure. You mentioned cannabis, and I really want to pick your brain on this because I've talked to all of the mayors throughout this program's existence. And obviously in previous years, even before the referendum passed in 2020 by an overwhelming margin, obviously some towns were very proactive years earlier in saying, listen, we're not going to allow dispensaries to get licensed here in our municipality. It's as simple as that. Yes, the Cannabis Regulatory Commission is in charge of issuing licenses and things of that nature. up here in Hudson County, Mayor. I mean, again, maybe I sound like a boomer. I've never smoked weed. I don't care to. Maybe some people think maybe I should to lighten up a little bit. But the point is that it's never interested me. I don't like the smell of it. Where I live in Hudson County, I mean, there's a lot of commercial avenues that I can walk through. And sometimes, when people smell the smog of like New Jersey transit buses, I smell weed a lot. And I'm just like, oh God, it's so unattractive. For our residents, maybe tuning in tonight, or our viewers, what's the policy in Bridgewater? Are there dispensaries available? Did the municipality allow for licenses to be dispersed, or is it something that's just looked down upon in Bridgewater?
We don't permit any licenses in Bridgewater. The towns around us do. So, there's some people that say, well, what's the difference? Somerville has it, Raritan has it. But we've made the policy decision for right now that we're not going to allow licenses in it. And, I have young kids, and it's interesting because sometimes kids can just cut through it even better. We're driving in a car the other day, and there must have been a car in front of us, must have been smoking in the car, but we could smell it coming into our car as we were driving. And my third grader goes, oh, she goes, what is that? She goes, it smells just like New York City. And, I sit there and say, that's exactly the point, is I don't want my town to smell like that. I don't want to be driving down a road and it's so pervasive wherever it's coming from that you can smell it coming in the car as you're driving, as opposed to smelling the air, suburban air. We're doing that. And so we've made that decision. Listen, I don't know where the town will be in 20 years. And, maybe different leaders at some point, policy will change. But for right now,
has there been a movement though within the town, whether it's at council meetings where residents, during the public speaking portion have been very adamant? I mean, do you see a rise in a little bit of residents speaking up about that, or is it still pretty docile in Bridgewater?
It is, because if you're a Bridgewater resident and you do want to get access to recreational marijuana, it's close enough in Somerville and Raritan that it's not impeding your ability to get it. So it was a hotly contested issue at the time, but now every once in a while we get pinged on it by somebody, but it's not an ongoing issue.
Mayor, I got to pick your brain about this. It was just brought to my attention. Obviously, if you are a fan of high school football, as I am, it's my understanding my high school here, Union City High School, will be visiting the beautiful town of Bridgewater to fight Bridgewater High School this Friday in the, divisional round of the high school playoffs. And, listen, we're gentlemen, maybe a gentleman's wager here. The winner gets a drink at the league based on the results of this Friday's playoff game, sir?
Absolutely. And, even better yet, if you're willing, what I'll do is I think that if Bridgewater wins, then at one of your next upcoming shows, you should be wearing a Bridgewater jersey. And you should support Bridgewater. And if Bridgewater loses, I'll come on just for a few minutes and I will sing the admirations of your alma mater. And wearing whatever jersey from your school.
Well, it's interesting. My alma mater is Memorial High School in Western, but working in the Union City Board of Ed, obviously, the Soaring Eagles have developed quite a reputation, but so is Bridgewater. I mean, it's going to be a classic knockdown drag out this Friday, from my understanding.
I hope so. It's been a good season for us. It's been we got a good group of kids, and it's exciting when you have good football. It just makes it's fun.
You know what? I'll take that bet. Loser's got to wear the jersey for the duration of the show. At least for me. I mean, I'll wear it for the show. You'll come on, obviously, wear it as well.
I'll do whatever you want.
Very, very interesting battle this Friday for sure. Mayor, again, getting back to the town itself. I mean, we look at another big issue during this campaign season, whether it's been for, the council races in your town, whether it's the legislative races or the gubernatorial race, overdevelopment is just running amok. It just seems like developers see a square inch of land anywhere in New Jersey and they're like salivating over it. What's been the issue in Bridgewater? Have developers been allowed to sort of go crazy there? What has the town been doing to sort of neutralize that? Because take your pick, any 21 counties here in New Jersey, they have seen developers come in here and almost run roughshod. Case in point, for example, nearby in Jersey City, I mean, I drive through what's called Journal Square. Not sure if you're familiar with that area of Jersey City, but it feels like I'm driving through Gotham City. I mean, these skyscrapers are there that I didn't even see 10 years ago. Right. And now I'm driving through Gotham. It's pretty demoralizing knowing that lifelong residents are getting priced out of Jersey City. Is that an issue you foresee in Bridgewater anytime soon?
We hope not, but we continue to fight that all the time. Our biggest challenge is some of these traditional large campuses. Ethicon's an example in Bridgewater that have moved out because they either don't need the large the space that they used to have because people are working from home, they're remote, and they're downsizing a lot of these offices. And so how do you handle 100 acres of corporate space that isn't needed anymore? And it's a real challenge. There's no easy answer, but we're committed to making sure that we look at each piece of property and try to find the most efficient use that's not going to drastically change the community. And there's going to be change, but it's how do you manage it and mitigate it? And the affordable housing disaster that the Supreme Court has forced on us and the legislature has forced on us is destroying communities with their ridiculous burdens that are one size fits all. They're not really related to actual need. And I'm sorry, if you're a 22-year-old, young teacher, God bless you for going into that profession. But if you have to live with your parents for a few years until you can afford a house, that doesn't offend me. Why do I have to build 100? In my case, we have to build 421 units in Bridgewater to accommodate those folks when there are people who really do need housing that we can talk about what the solutions look like. I just think it's a crime what's taking place.
Well said there. Mayor, before I let you go, we've talked to Matthew Moench, the mayor, the chief executive in the town of Bridgewater. Let's just talk to Matt Moench, the guy. So quick lightning round here with you.
All right.
Just to get to know Matt Moench, the guy. So favorite MLB team? Mets. Okay, I'm a Yankee fan. Not a great season for us, obviously. A lot of expectations with both the Mets and Yankees. What do you think Matt needs to do with the Mets here? I mean, again, a lot of expectations after reaching the league championship series last year against the Dodgers. What do the Mets got to do in this offseason?
I don't know. They seem like they have all the pieces that they should have. The talent's supposed to be there, but for some reason, it's just not gelling in a way that came up with results. So I think, look, I like Pete Alonso. I hope they lock him down and keep him. I know, and everyone has the same opinion, but I think you need players who are truly committed to the team. And I think that helps fans. It helps the team have anchors and, keeping those pieces in place.
I mean, Mayor, let's be fair. Fans came out this year. I mean, we're talking about over 2.5 million fans went to Citi Field. So yeah. Uncle Stevie challenged Met fans like, listen, I'm going to spend money. You guys got to come out. And they did. Having said that, my manager sucks. He's entering the 9th year with the Yankees. But Carlos Mendoza, after a great rookie season, a little bit disenchantment with Met fans. I listen to sports talk radio every day. New York fans turn on you in a second as the moniker goes. Do you think Mendoza's on the hot seat going into 2026?
I think he's going to be in a hot seat. I don't think he should be. I think it's too small a sample size to say we're going to throw you out that quick because, unfortunately, look, you have all these teams spending all this money with great players, and sometimes no matter how good a job you do, someone else has just done a little bit better, not because you did poorly, but because it didn't work. I think the biggest concern with the Mets is you look at how many games they were ahead towards the 9th inning, 8th inning. There was a report that showed just how many games they lost in those late innings. To me, that's where you got to look at. Is it your relief pitchers that are giving up runs they shouldn't give up, or is it your folks who are running out of steam somewhere? But there was like 30 games or something where they were ahead and lost it.
Yeah, I mean, the bullpen needs to be addressed. Same thing with us. I mean, it's crazy, Mayor, in the 100+ years existence of the Yankees, no manager has lasted more than 5 years without winning the championship. Okay. If you've reached that threshold and you haven't won a title, you're gone. This bum is entering his 9th season as manager. It just reminds you that Hal is not his dad. And somewhere George is in the grave saying, what the hell is Brian Cashman doing here? What's Aaron Boone still doing here? It's, again, tough times in the Bronx, maybe better times ahead in Queens coming up in 2026. NFL team.
Jets.
Okay. My dad's a big Jet fan. Actually, I was at the Jet Cowboy game. I took my dad to that game, and it felt like a home game for us Cowboy fans there. But, in the immortal words of Joe Beningo, oh, the pain. Can the pain get solved anytime soon with the Jets?
No, I've almost given up hope. If I'm going to give up my time watching, I love sports, but it's just when you're not competitive at all, it's tough. I don't know how you solve that other than firing everybody and starting from scratch. But
fair enough. I think Woody Johnson might listen, Mr. Johnson. You might want to sell that team maybe to Elon Musk or somebody. I mean, maybe just start from scratch. Who knows? NBA and NHL, Mayor.
I got to say, my son has gotten into NBA, and we now go to 76ers games. We have a season package to 76ers games. And the fact
that makes sense for you, Olivia.
It's easier to get there than to go into the Knicks or to the Nets. And the fact that I'm rooting for a Philadelphia team, a little small part of me has died.
Sure.
But they're fun games, and they're doing okay this year. They were 4-1. I don't remember if they played last night, but they were the first 5 games they were 4-1. So it's fun to go in. I like the NBA games. And I'm a Devils fan, but a lot less committed to it. I know you're a huge fan. They're the New Jersey team, so I think we have to root for them.
It's interesting you bring up. I'm not sure what it's called. It was the Wells Fargo Center. Is it something else? Infinity, right? Infinity Center?
Yeah, Wells Fargo. That's where they are.
Okay, Wells Fargo. And again, I've gone there, big pro wrestling fan. I've gone to the building. Nice building. Yeah. And what's interesting about Philadelphia sports is that everything's like centrally located. Like it's that one big complex. Yeah. If you want to go see the Phillies, unfortunately, you go there. As a Cowboy fan, I've gone to that dump, Lincoln Financial Field, multiple times. I don't know how I make it out alive. But I have to say, though, I've gone to Wells Fargo. It's a nice building, plenty of parking. So for you, based on your proximity, that makes a lot of sense. Listen, if the Sixers stay healthy, they can make some noise in the Eastern Conference. We'll see. Certainly. Now, favorite American president and why?
Well, so last time I was on your show, you asked me this question, and I said George Bush, and I think you basically went to silence when I said George Bush. So I feel like I should give you a different answer, but it has not changed, and the reason is because that's when I got into politics. I was a 9/11 first responder, and I was absolutely committed to him when I was in college, and that's what got me into politics, and I continue to put him as number one of my personal. Not saying I agree with everything, not saying politics are lying, but that's my number one guy. And
listen, Mayor, to be fair, I volunteered at the Republican convention at the Garden in 2004. Like I still have like literature. I still have bumper stickers and shirts. I mean, I very much was a Bush Cheney guy. Obviously, I think 20 years later, we read and, we can certainly debate whether or not my fandom for the Bushes and the Cheneys has changed. I think we saw that last year, right? Like I was deeply disappointed to see the Cheney family supporting Kamala Harris, but I mean, so be it. I know you're a dad. So is it a Marvel or DC house?
Marvel, not even a question. Marvel.
Okay. And favorite Marvel character?
X-Men in general. Okay. So we're big, Wolverine fans, number one, both the comics and the movie. But anything X-Men is what we like. And, we're working away with the kids through all the movies. And, we still haven't seen Fantastic Four. We're going to watch it soon. That's the only one I didn't see in the movies out of every Marvel movie. That's the only one we haven't seen in the theaters.
Well, I think it's on Disney Plus, or it starts this week. Yeah. I saw it already online. Good movie. And again, I think that since Endgame in 2019, Marvel has struggled a little bit. They've had some good shows, right? The Falcon and Winter Soldier. I was okay with the Captain America film this year. I think it was fine. I think if you're a purist of the comic, it's following the comic. It's not like, oh, why is Captain America black? Like I heard friends of mine, I'm like, bro, did you read the comic or not? Like if you did, you would know that Sam Wilson becomes Captain America. But having said that, there have been some duds. The She-Hulk series was not very good. I think some other series were not very good. I think there's a lot on the line going into next summer with the new Spider-Man movie, right? I think with the next Avengers, with Robert Downey Jr. playing Victor Von Doom. And let's be honest, next to Thanos, Dr. Doom is a fascinating villain in the Marvel Universe. He intersects a lot of the X-Men, Spider-Man. He intersects a lot of different characters in the Marvel Universe. So the fact that Dr. Doom is the main antagonist here, I think it's something to keep an eye out for going into next year. Especially, we also have the Daredevil series, which was great this year. I don't know if you watched it on Disney, but I can't wait for March. And my understanding is that the Daredevil series and the ending of it at least the season, will transition into the new Spider-Man movie. And then that Spider-Man movie gives us a hint about Avengers Doomsday next year. So a lot going on in Marvel. I'm excited as a fan.
Yep.
I'm sure you and your kids are too. Mayor, again, I appreciate coming on here. You're always a gentleman on this show, and we always have great conversations. Again, keep up the great work in Bridgewater. I'll give you the last word here tonight on Real Talk.
Listen, I appreciate having me on. I love listening to the show and all the commentary and all the guests that come on. I think right now I hate to sound like everybody else that says go out and vote. I think if you're listening to the show, you probably don't need to hear that, but it's going to be an exciting day tomorrow or the next couple of days, and it's going to have gigantic impacts on our state. And as a local government guy, I would just say to people, don't forget about your local candidates. If you're going out and vote, make sure you go all the way down, because a lot of stuff that happens at your local level is going to impact you quicker and sometimes even greater than what happens at the higher level. So I think it's going to be an exciting day. I think Jack's going to pull it out, and we're going to have hopefully a turnaround with the state. So we'll see.
Mayor, I'll be there tomorrow night. I'll see you at that watch party, and I'll chirp a little bit about this Friday with my Eagles there at Union City High School. We'll see what they do Friday, but you're always a gentleman. Mayor, good to see you on here.
You
Folks,
too.
again, check out bridgewaternj.gov for all the great things going on in the township of Bridgewater, courtesy of their mayor. My guest tonight, the Honorable Matthew Moench, here on Real Talk. Mayor, good to see you. I'll see you tomorrow night.
Too.
And thank
Have
you
a
for
good one.
joining Real Talk.
I'll see you. Take care.
Have a good one. Folks, good stuff there with the mayor of Bridgewater, New Jersey. Again, Matthew Moench. A good guy to have on the show. And again, when we talk about some of the great mayors in New Jersey, I mean, obviously I brag about Union City Mayor Brian Stack all the time, but when we talk about mayors throughout the state of New Jersey, folks, don't forget about Matthew Moench down in Bridgewater. It's a great town to live, to shop in, and to send your kids to school there. It's a great town down there in Somerset County. So again, my thanks to the mayor in Bridgewater for a few minutes of his time here tonight on the program. Folks, again, if you're just joining us live right now, like, comment, and share tonight's episode here on Real Talk. It really helps get the show out to more people. And as I've said before, it really contributes to the great traffic that we bring you every single week here, as yours truly continues to be the leader in fearless, independent journalism. You can always rely on it here on Real Talk. Well, folks, you know what time it is. It's 7 o'clock here on the dot on the East Coast, and it's time for Final Thoughts. And folks, it is election season. Obviously, there's been no shortage of insufferable people to look at in our news feeds. And it's kind of interesting because even when you don't follow people on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, somehow their content just happens to show up on your feed, and you sort of reminds you, in many instances, like, man, I'm really glad I'm not this dumb. And when I think of that, I mean, obviously, folks, you can see behind me, there is no shortage of dummies in our political echo chamber here in New Jersey. I mean, take your pick, right? You have Soy Boy Beta Male over there at Montclair State University, Joe Amaditis. You have, obviously, people. Well, I mean, it's 7 o'clock on the Eastern time here. Obviously, we know clowns like Bob Medina are sleeping. They're not awake right now. And I get it. When you're 94 years old, you get sleepy early. I mean, it's 7 o'clock. You're probably sleepy. You had dinner at 4 o'clock, and you're probably laying on the couch. You passed out until tomorrow. So, yeah, I don't anticipate Bob Medina watching the show live. When does he ever? Right? Or other sort of like useless operatives that we see, right? Like Laura Bustamante from the Andy Kim office. I mean, again, if anyone should be concerned about the government shutdown and whether or not you're paying federal employees, I mean, it should be Laura Bustamante. I mean, where's that fourth sandwich of the day coming for her? Obviously, is Andy Kim coming out of pocket for that? I mean, you would think with someone with her appetite, I mean, she's probably concerned. I mean, is she going to get a paycheck? I mean, I don't know, Or other useless, operatives like we have over there at Montclair State University in the president's office there, as you can see there. Or members of legacy media, right? The charisma vacuums there that is Chucky, Charles Styler, the resident pothead, Matt Friedman, who, again, if he ever looked presentable on camera, that'd be an effing miracle, right? Of course, you have other insufferable activists like Hetty Rosenstein, right? Or Patricia Campos Medina, all right? Or Hetty Morsi, or Lauren Albrecht, or others like Caleb Burrell, right? Or, useless journalists like Bob Hennelly, right? But when we think about people who've been insufferable during this election cycle, and I know you can't really recognize them there because he has something in his mouth. But then again, when it comes to Jay Lassiter, when doesn't he have something in his mouth? I mean, that kind of makes you wonder, right? But yes, folks, you can always rely on awful takes during the election cycle. And of course, you see it here. I mean, this is pretty interesting, which shouldn't surprise anybody. So obviously, this was brought to my attention because I don't follow Jay, doesn't follow me on X, right? But the update on today's gay agenda. Number one, get stoned, as if that isn't the agenda every single day when you're home scratching your ass, living off your boyfriend's money. It's not like this guy has a job. I mean, when was the last time you worked? Right? Like during the Bush administration? Like dad or junior? I mean, that's probably up for, speculation there. Let me see. Turn Jack4NJ into a 4-time loser. And of course, get stoned again. Folks, when you think about what's at stake during this election, is if you want some actual fiscal management in Trenton or responsible people. When I think of responsible people, I don't think of Jay Lassiter. I mean, this is a guy who lives off his boyfriend's money. And let's be honest, the only pussy around the house that could stand to be near him are his cats. And even that is probably speculation. Right? But has there ever been a more useless person or a bigger waste of life in New Jersey politics than Jay Lassiter? For people like you and, like myself and you at home who watch this show, I'm sure you're just getting home from work, working. I mean, I know that's something that Jay Lassiter is foreign to or allergic to. But for some of us, who work in New Jersey, own property, pay taxes, not live off other people's money, like Jay Lassiter does, tomorrow's an important election. We'll find out who prevails. But folks, if you ever need a reason or a reminder to not be a useless, insufferable progressive or liberal, folks, you can always rely on Jay Lassiter. That's pretty disappointing because this is a guy who somehow still has friends in New Jersey politics, right? Who somehow people put him up on this pedestal, which is very, very peculiar to me. It's like, oh, Jay saved my life or whatever other sob stories I hear. Yes, folks, Jay Lassiter could save your life 10 times. He's still a piece of shit human. Nothing changes. So kind of interesting how some people take his political opinion seriously when mostly there's a large majority that do not. And that's a good thing, folks, for our political climate because, less and less people take someone like Jay Lassiter seriously. And more and more people take Fernando Uribe seriously. Yeah, that's a big pill to swallow for Jay Lassiter. Well, then again, he likes to swallow a lot of things, but that's a topic for a different day. Folks, speaking about insufferable during this election season, yes, you can always rely on Amy Torres, the resident cat lady, and all the clowns at the New Jersey Alliance for Immigrant Justice. As you can see there, during their most recent tweet, I thought it was interesting to point out as it was brought to my attention, right, recently. They, along with Make the Road New Jersey, another useless left-wing organization, getting our tax dollars from grants in Trenton, right? Hopefully that changes. They decided to put out last week, today we're outside the U.S. District Court to stand shoulder to shoulder with @Rep MacGyver, that referencing U.S. Representative Monica MacGyver, as she faces bogus charges for providing oversight as an elected member of Congress to keep her constituents safe. We won't stay silent. What bogus charges? The fact that her ratchet ass decided to act all ghetto and ratchet and assault a federal officer in front of an ICE facility? Folks, don't take my word for it. You have working eyes, don't you? Okay. Now, mind you, folks, I mean, the minute Monica MacGyver walks into a room and breathes, I mean, she could literally be assaulting you. I mean, she takes up a considerable amount of real estate and space when you look at her. So it doesn't take much for her to assault you if she's in the general vicinity, right? So, but let's just check out this irrefutable footage that somehow, whether it's Amy Torres or the other useless women at Make the Road New Jersey or the New Jersey Alliance for Immigrant Justice, somehow have overlooked. By the way, shout out to Rob Menendez, U.S. Representative Rob Menendez. Look at the strength it took to even wrap his arms around that behemoth and try to calm her down. Yo, shout out to Rob. Rob might not look like a tough guy or a strong guy, but man, he's got deceptive strength there. I mean, try to hold that behemoth down. Let me tell you something. Shout out to U.S. Representative Rob Menendez for trying to restrain her. That doesn't look easy. That looks like the job of 2 or 3 guys. So shout out to Rob, man, being able to hold that behemoth back during that entire melee. But let's look at that again from the angle once again. Well, the guy is deceptively strong there. I mean, imagine trying to hold back that behemoth as she's like acting all ratchet and having a meltdown, right? For federal officers just doing their job, right? Isn't that interesting? I mean, folks, the fence almost collapsed there. I mean, when my guy, like leaned on it. My God, I mean, that poor fence. Somebody get some reinforcement for that fencing over there.
You cannot push me! You cannot push me! You cannot push me!
Again, folks, that's body cam footage. So the next time you see idiots like Amy Torres and the other useless women at the New Jersey Alliance for Immigrant Justice, or Make the Road New Jersey, or other insufferable activists in New Jersey politics, right? Again, they should have working eyes. And if they don't have working eyes, again, go to an optometrist. I can recommend you a great one. Okay? Dr. Brownstein up in North Bergen, New Jersey. Great optometrist. I go to him regularly. And years after LASIK vision surgery, courtesy of Dr. Joseph Della Russo, I still have 20/20 vision. So I can see this in real time. Why it's so difficult for those on the left or progressives or all the woke fools and the cat ladies and all the obese feminists and everyone else on the left, what's so hard to understand, folks? The body footage is irrefutable. Like, what are you exactly contesting? I mean, Jesus Christ. Listen, folks, shout out to that belt, keeping those jeans on there for Representative MacIver. I mean, you're asking a lot of that belt there, folks, with Monica MacIver. Let me tell you, you're asking a lot of that. Folks, I mean, really, what are we bitching and moaning about with the New Jersey Alliance for Immigrant Justice? We have a sitting member of the United States House of Representatives acting like a guest on the Jerry Springer Show, acting like a guest on the Maury Povich Show, being ratchet and acting like no different than other ratchet members of Congress. Haven't we seen those, right? Member of the House over there in Texas, Jasmine Crockett. Folks, what's the difference between Jasmine Crockett and Monica MacIver? I don't see a difference. I mean, one's considerably slimmer than the other, but they're both ratchet in their behavior, and in their language, and in their behavior, and again, in what they're doing, and their narratives. How is this a good look for New Jersey residents, folks? How is this a good look for her constituents seeing this ratchet behemoth acting a fool for federal officers doing their job, for simply enforcing federal immigration law? When for the last 4 years, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris allowed more than 10 million people into this country illegally. Okay? And all President Trump's trying to do is clean up the mess of the previous administration. Not a peep, though, from Monica MacIver or Rob Menendez. And I love Rob. Rob, I love you to death, man. But we got to call balls and strikes fairly here. That was a bad look being there at that ICE facility. Okay? And again, shout out to you, man. I can tell you work out because, bro, to be able to hold back this behemoth, I mean, that takes a lot of upper body strength. So shout out once again to Rob Menendez, man. That is no easy task trying to hold this behemoth down. Let me
You cannot push me! You cannot push me! You cannot
Folks, I gotta tell you, I mean, my God. I know I'm confident, but man, is anything more confident than the buttons on those jeans trying to stay on there? Folks, it's embarrassing that members of the United States House of Representatives get to act this way. And the fact they have these clown organizations defending ratchet behavior just reminds you all, folks, about how insufferable these left-wing organizations are. It reminds you what a joke a lot of these organizations are. It reminds you, again, folks, when we think about the people I just mentioned, Amy Torres, Hetty Morsi, Patricia Campos Medina, and other insufferable activists, folks. Estas son mujeres que no sirven para nada. Sinceramente, no sirven para nada. They set an awful example, folks. You want to debate policy, you want to argue semantics, that's fine. But, folks, the video is as clear as day. It's not doctored. It's not altered, folks. This is body cam footage of a member of the House of Representatives acting like a ratchet fool. And you're having organizations defending this behavior. I don't know who are the bigger fools. I'll let you decide. Speaking of fools, folks, it is election day tomorrow. And I think you have choices in Jersey City. And the two clowns behind me, Jake Efros and Joe Brooks, are certainly not one of them. Okay. But as a reminder about the garbage that is the Democratic Socialists of America, let's just remind everyone exactly the levels of stupidity that we have to deal with. And it's interesting about mental illness because these are the same guys that would critique me for speaking up against mental illness. You know, trans people, right? Folks, no amount of mental illness is good enough for people like this. But you have choices in Jersey City tomorrow, folks. I know people have voted by mail. I know a good amount of people have voted early in Jersey, but people will still vote tomorrow on Election Day. And for those in Jersey City on the west side that encompasses Ward B or the Jersey City Heights, which is Ward D or the Slopes, you have choices, ladies and gentlemen. But certainly Jake Efros and Joe Brooks are not one of them. Don't believe me? Listen to them in their own words and how silly they sound.
Joel Brooks. I'm running for Jersey City Council, Ward B on the west side. My name is Jake Efros. I'm running for Ward D City Council here in the Heights and the Slopes. Jake and I are both endorsed by the Democratic Socialists of America, the Working Families Party, HPAE, Katie Brennan for State Assembly. And
so basically, folks, what it tells you is that people, A, who never took a biology course, B, never took an economics course, whiny virtue signalers like Katie Brennan and other useless organizations endorse clowns like this. Let's shave the apple down to its core. That's the truth. But let's continue with these two idiots.
And Progressive Victory, New Jersey. We're both running to win universal rent control.
And how does that happen? Universal rent control. Like, you can't do that on the city council. Like, that's not possible. But they'll try to trick you and fool you with these little, cliche terms and, oh my God, free this. No, folks, there's nothing free. It's paid for with tax dollars. If either of these two clowns had a job, they would know that. But again, that would require them to work and pay taxes. Right? Let's continue.
Universal child care and safe, clean, green streets to tackle the cost of living crisis and win the quality of life.
Oh, the cost of living crisis. And that was caused how? By who? Is it caused by conservatives or Republicans? No. because they haven't had any say in that for over 20 years in Trenton, or even at a local level. So who could you blame for that, Jake? Oh, that's right. Like the Democrats in Jersey City. Okay. Just making sure because, or safe, clean, green streets. What exactly would Jake like to do with Jersey City? Eliminate all cars? We'll just get around on our bicycles? Moms and dads, when they drop off their kids to preschool, daycare, elementary school, middle school or high school, are they just supposed to drop them off on bicycles? We don't see enough bike lanes in Jersey City, right? What exactly is going to make streets safer, cleaner, and greener, right? You always hear these talking points from the Democratic Socialists and idiots like this, right? Like woke fools like this guy. But when you ask them, when you press them and force them to defend their positions, folks, their tissue soft. Don't take my word for it. They blocked me on social media months ago. Because God forbid they ever heard an alternate point of view than from anybody else that's not in their echo chamber. Let's continue.
Life we deserve. If I lived in the Heights or the Slopes,
I would not vote for Jake.
for Jake. If I were on West Side, I would vote
I would not vote for Joel.
for you, Joel. Right now, you can vote by mail, vote early in person from October 25th to November 2nd, or in person on Election Day, November 4th. Please go to jakeforjc.com or joelforjc.com to learn more about our campaign and get involved. It's go time.
Yeah, folks, if there's ever been like two fools in one picture, definitely it's these idiots. Again, what do you expect from Democratic Socialists, right? And those that enable them and try to prop them up and make them into legitimate candidates. And shame on Bill O'Day running someone like Joel Brooks, who doesn't know a thing about economics or biology or anything else, right? But folks, that's where we're at in Jersey City. Again, you have choices tomorrow for those that have still not voted yet, for those who prefer to go to the polls on Election Day. You have choices in Ward B and Ward D in Jersey City, folks, but certainly Joel Brooks and Jake Efros are not one of them. You can do better at Jersey City. Send a message that Democratic Socialists, social justice clowns, woke fools, obese feminists, smelly cat ladies, and the alphabet mob should not be manipulating or trying to monopolize the narratives. Folks, these are children. And you can't take children seriously. Why start now? And those are my final thoughts. Folks, before we call it a night here, I do want to thank everybody for yet another successful month in 2025. Over 110,000 organic views here on the program. Whether it's Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, you name it, folks, all organic, nothing boosted. Okay. I'm not vaccinated. I don't believe in boosting anything, so I don't believe in boosting episodes. I let the quality of this program speak for itself. And the great guests that I've had in October, which included Hoboken mayoral candidate Michael Russo, Ward 8 council candidate Pam Johnson in Jersey City, the president and the CEO of the statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Carlos Medina, as well as Jersey City Ward E council candidate Alexander Hamilton. Folks, again, I get you the exclusives you don't see anywhere else. And while we have your little Mickey Mouse journalists with your little Mickey Mouse traffic and your Mickey Mouse shows, folks, here on this program, it's real talk with real traffic. We're not the same. So to quote one of my childhood heroes, the nature boy, Ric Flair, well, once again, for a lot of the social justice clowns in Hudson County and in New Jersey, for the woke fools, the alphabet mob, all the smelly cat ladies, all the obese feminists, all the climate hysterics, folks, you name it. All these children, that's what they are, children. I'll just quote Ric Flair. Whether you like it or you don't like it, just get used to it. Because you can't cancel me. You've tried and you haven't succeeded, and you're never going to cancel me. Just learn to love it, folks. Because real talk, right there with these numbers, is the best thing going today. Woo! I'll say for everybody once again in the back, and let's just run it back again. For all of you that, again, and for a lot of the haters locally, you might want to go to CVS or Walgreens and get a little ointment for that burn. Because Fernando Uribe isn't going anywhere. Again, I'll continue to be your leader for fearless, independent journalism, folks. You can always rely on it here. It's always real conversations with real dialogue and real traffic because it's real talk. Folks, we're not the same. So once again, to everyone who tunes in and shares the replay, thank you. God bless you all. And I appreciate you being a fan of the show 5 years and counting here with Real Talk via Jersey First TV. Traffic has been great in 2025, folks. Let's keep it going and close out 2025 with even bigger numbers than we had in 2024, in 2023, and in 2022. Again, without all of you watching at home, this success would not be possible. So I'm deeply humbled. And I'm not the most humble guy around. But again, to quote the nature boy Ric Flair, whether you like it or you don't like it, learn to love it, folks, because Fernando Uribe is the best thing going today. Woo! And when you look in the dictionary and you want to look up the word greatness, you know how you spell greatness? Very simple. U-R-I-B-E. Woo! And that's our show for this week. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank the Honorable Mayor of Bridgewater, New Jersey, Matthew Moench, for his time this evening. And again, folks, if you're just joining us, like, comment, and share tonight's episode on all of your social media platforms. It helps get the show out to more people as we'll continue to be the leader in independent media here in the Garden State. Folks, again, make sure you like us on Facebook, of course, follow us on Instagram and X. Also, subscribe to us on YouTube. And whether you get your podcast with Spotify or SoundCloud, download Jersey First TV. Take it with you anywhere at any time, whether you're walking your dog, doing food shopping, whatever it is you're doing, folks. Maybe you're staying online to vote tomorrow. You have your smartphone with you? Check out Jersey First TV. And, of course, check out all the episodes of Real Talk here on the Jersey First Television Network. Folks, again, leading the way front and center here on Jersey First TV. Yes, proud to do it, folks, every single week. Again, I continue to be your leader in fearless, independent journalism. It's always available here every Monday night live. Check your local listings for Real Talk with Fernando Uribe via Jersey First TV. Always remember, folks, if it's unbiased, unfiltered, and unafraid, it's always Real Talk here on the Jersey First Television Network. I am the generational talent in Garden State media and the hero you need right now, folks, because as the established media lies to you, guess who won't? That's right. The king of podcasting, your leader in fearless independent journalism. It's always available every Monday night live here with Real Talk via Jersey First TV. That's right, folks. I am Fernando Uribe. Folks, again, enjoy the rest of your week. Don't forget to vote tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. It's very important. Enjoy the rest of your week. Please party responsibly. And I'll see you next Monday night here as the editor-in-chief of the New Jersey Globe, David Wassing, joins us live at 7 p.m. Eastern time to break down the results of election 2025. Always a great time to have David Wassing on to break down election results, and nobody does it better than David Wassing and the New Jersey Globe. Next Monday night, folks, mark it on your calendars, 7 p.m. Eastern time here on Jersey First TV. Folks, thanks for stopping by. And, of course, if you checked out my costume this weekend for Halloween, now more than ever, you know why this phrase matters so much. Always remember, stay classy, everyone.